Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Stephen Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found, and of course, taped live at the Twitch at twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. A heck of a weekend in the world of wrestling. We've got a lot to talk about, including a high-profile main event for WrestleMania that didn't happen, but hopefully one day will happen. We have an update on Bobby Lashley's injury, and of course, Kenny Omega had a lot to say about Cody leaving AEW, potentially to go to WWE, maybe as early as tonight. We've got recaps for No Surrender from Impact and Reyes from AAA, and we're going to get to all that in just a little bit. First up, want to let you guys know we got a brand new channel. It's called Friendo Club TV. Bunch of short form stuff. We got our supercut of reactions from Elimination Chamber there right now. Go check that out. All sorts of other stuff. We got some new stuff coming up this week as well. Let's go ahead and dive into it.
Yes,
Larson, what's going on?
So this first story comes to us from Louis Dangor at Give Me Sport. So he reported that WWE at one point strongly considered a fatal four-way match between WWE's four horsewomen. Of course, Sasha Banks, Charlotte Flair, Bayley, and Becky Lynch. However, in the end, they decided not to proceed with that particular bout, primarily because Ronda Rousey said, "Hey, I'm coming back."
Mm-hmm.
And so they went with Ronda versus Charlotte, and then Becky versus Bianca. This match, 1,000,000% needs to happen at some point.
Yeah.
It absolutely needs to happen. It's kind of weird it hasn't happened yet. Of course, it did happen in NXT.
Yeah, it did. It was a
several
great match
years
too.
ago.
It was a really good match, too.
It was a really good match. To have this in the main event of WrestleMania would be fantastic. At the same time, though, having this match happen, as great and as awesome as it would sideline the Becky-Bianca story, which would be a bummer. But I guess if you have Becky win the four horsewomen match at Mania, and then, at SummerSlam, as you proposed several times leading up to Elimination Chamber, have Bianca and Becky have their match for the Raw Women's Championship. After you have Becky defeat the other four horsewomen, that's a deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think, given that Bayley's out, we have no idea when she's going to come back. I mean, I think there were some reports that it could possibly be in time for Mania, but I mean, man, we're really close at this point. You do this at SummerSlam this year. You make it the main event of SummerSlam. You really do. You put Roman on 2 matches before, you have a cool down match, and then you do this. But I don't know. This feels... Look, this could easily be a WrestleMania match. Obviously, this is huge. This is awesome.
Oh yeah, it's massive.
But I don't know. I kind of get the SummerSlam vibes from this. Like a really awesome SummerSlam main event. Because here's the thing: night 1 of WrestleMania, give me night 2 WrestleMania. That's the main event, right? But we know Roman's going to do that. Roman is Roman. And on top of that, like you said, it's sort of like oh crap, what do we do? Bianca needs to be made. She needs to be made, and that to me is more WrestleMania than SummerSlam. I thought maybe with the symmetry of it being a year, that's your out, and you do that. But I think there's something about whenever people talk about stuff, they talk about Roman Reigns, how many times he main evented WrestleMania. They don't talk about how many times he main event SummerSlam. Nobody really cares about that. And so Bianca Belair beating all 4 of the horsewomen in the main event, and you can call it night 1, night 2, whatever, in the main event of WrestleMania, all 4 of them, if that's the track that she's going to take, which right now she's already got Sasha, she'll have Bianca this year, Becky this year, hopefully Charlotte next year. That's huge. You're making a huge star at WrestleMania, and she'll always have that on her resume, and WWE can always point at her and say, she did that.
Yep.
And put this... Sasha, Charlotte, Bayley, Becky Lynch, main event of SummerSlam this year. Oh my God, that'd be killer. That'd be killer.
It'd be really good.
Yeah,
really next year, assuming let's say The Rock decides, no, I'm not going to do WrestleMania next year. Maybe he's done wrestling. And from all indications, it seems like they really want Roman versus The Rock to main event Mania next year in LA. Say it doesn't happen, then yeah, you could to the Four Horsewomen main event night 2.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be huge.
That'd be huge. Yeah, absolutely. Huge. And I mean, the thing about this also is that another reason why I just think, I don't know, SummerSlam is fine with it, or it'd be fine for SummerSlam. You don't need the titles involved. You know, like you can have the titles. Let's say Charlotte loses to Ronda and Bianca wins it from Becky, which are two things that I kind of expect to happen. They do whatever they do at SummerSlam, but in the main event, you got all 4 horsewomen. The timing kind of makes sense there. So yeah, I think that's great. I mean, they're loading up WrestleManias so hardcore, anyways, man. That give something to SummerSlam. Boy, that'd be terrific. So yeah,
pretty cool.
I mean, I'm glad that if Louis here is to be believed, that this was given serious consideration. That means that it's going to happen. At some point, barring the injuries, not lining up or whatever. This seems like it's something that they have on their plate. That's a big match. I really like that.
It is a massive match.
Yeah,
enormous. So during Saturday's Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, I guess we can move on now. Bobby Lashley was seemingly either hurt or written off the main event after Seth Rollins powerbombed Austin Theory into his pod onto Lashley. Shortly after Elimination Chamber ended, former WWE writer Kazim Famuyiwa mentioned on the Ringer Wrestling Show that he had it, and these transcripts are via WrestlingNews.co, quote, under good authority that Lashley is shoot hurt and has been hurt since the Rumble match. He continues, if you've noticed, he hasn't worked any Raws. He hasn't really defended his title. He was shoot hurt at the Lesnar match at the Rumble. From what I'm told, it's for at least 4 months, shoulder surgery. I'm hearing that he might not even make it to Mania. PW Insider has since provided an update on Lashley's condition, reporting that they were able to, quote, confirm that Lashley is slated to get looked at sometime this coming week in Birmingham, Alabama, which is where Dr. James Andrews, who handles a number of WWE talent surgeries, is situated. It would explain why Lashley was taking those German suplexes from Brock off to the side.
Oh, yeah.
If he had hurt his shoulder during the match.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing I noticed is like that first one he took, he took on his back, and every other one he was taking on his side.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed kind of awkward. I was worried he was going to get hurt doing that, but maybe I don't know for sure, obviously. Maybe he had gotten hurt prior to that and was trying to save some impact on his shoulder by taking him kind of sideways.
Yeah. Yeah, because like the whole thing about him being hurt in the ring, like if it wasn't the leg, which is the only thing that made sense, it didn't look like his head, but they were making it a concussion thing. So it was like, okay, they're writing him out. This is fake.
Yeah,
they wrote it to fool us.
They did.
But then, actual injury. I mean, I don't know. I sort of mentioned this before. I wonder if he just would have been destroyed by Brock like everybody else. And if that was the case, maybe this helps save him a little bit. So writing him out, I think, is probably the smart move if the idea is Roman's going to get, we mentioned this in the Elimination Chamber thing, Roman's going to get both titles at WrestleMania. He's going to need people to defend against on Raw and on SmackDown. And so Lashley, he comes back if it's 4 months, which knowing Lashley, it might be 3 months because that dude is absolutely in outstanding shape. Yep. Or maybe it'll be more. If it's at least 4 months, maybe it'll be more.
Yeah, I mean SummerSlam maybe.
It could be SummerSlam. It could be the SummerSlam match. Yeah, absolutely. And that's a big match. You bring him back to a huge babyface pop. He starts destroying people, and then Roman has a built-in contender right there. Depending on how they do the sort of title thing, I don't know how they're going to do that, but he's totally getting both those titles. So anyways, all right, let's get to this, man, because this is really, really interesting stuff. Of course, tonight, Monday Night Raw. Some people are expecting potentially, maybe, there's 3 hours to fill. You put Cody Rhodes in there.
Maybe. I mean, as of right now, about 1 o'clock Pacific, there's no official Raw preview. I'll go check again.
All right, let's take a quick break here to get a word in from our sponsor, BetterHelp. So, Larson.
Yes.
I'm sure you know that relationships often take work. A lot of us will drop everything and go out of our way to help someone we care about. But how often do we give ourselves that same treatment?
BetterHelp is here to remind us that you've got to take care of the most important relationship in your life, the one you have with yourself. Several years ago, I started dealing with severe anxiety, and it was then that I learned firsthand how important it was to take care of myself and talk to a therapist. But I also learned that it can be really tough to find the right person to talk to. Today, BetterHelp's online therapy makes that process of finding a therapist much more convenient by offering video, phone, and even live chat therapy sessions. And you can be matched with your own therapist in under 48 hours.
Remember that you are your greatest asset, so invest as much time in yourself as you do the others in your life. Check out our sponsor at BetterHelp. And right now, Going In Raw listeners can get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/raw.
That's BETTERHELP.com/raw.
So Kenny Omega, obviously his former co-EVP, Cody's departure from AEW dominated wrestling headlines last week. Over the weekend, Kenny sat down with the Wrestling Observer himself, Dave Meltzer, and Garrett Gonzalez, and spoke about the former AEW EVP leaving the promotion he helped found. These transcripts come to you via Fightful. Kenny said, "Everyone was shocked. We all know when our deals are up, especially the EVPs. We know when our deals are up. In the case of the Bucks, when their options kick in. For myself, I don't have a deal like that. I'm up next year, just straight up done. I would have to re-sign a new contract. There is no option on it. We knew Cody's pretty much like the Bucks. It was that time. We would hear that there was possibly some difficulty with negotiation or whatever, but you never think it's going in that direction where the talent is going to opt for leaving, especially when this thing first started. The most passionate person of our revolution, the most passionate person of creating the us versus them mentality was Cody." A little side note here from me. I appreciate that when Dave Meltzer reported that Cody wasn't signing because he wasn't at TV, it seems like it might have come from Kenny here, because he's saying we would hear that there was possibly some difficulty with negotiation or whatever. I was like, well, he just isn't there yet. Wow. Anyways, he continues. He says it was strange for him to just choose to up and walk away. However, that being said, feelings change. The environment around you is ever-changing and constantly changing. Maybe the mission statement, the goal, the revolution, whatever it is you're searching for and trying to create, maybe that isn't what it is anymore to you. Maybe it isn't your inspiration and what gets you out of bed every day. I would always encourage everyone in wrestling and life, if your work isn't fulfilling and making you happy, you really should look for opportunities elsewhere, in a place where you can feel creatively free and a place where you feel your work is being appreciated and fulfilled. I'm guessing that, knowing Cody as well as I know him, I don't think it was an issue of money. I don't think it was Tony not shelling out enough cash to keep him invested with the company. Cody, he really believed in the original vision he brought to the table for AEW and the original vision that the team brought to the table when AEW was first becoming a promotion. We didn't know where this would go. We had been optimistic about it and thought he would be where we are today, where we'd be considered a major promotion and we would have our fan base and have a lot of satisfied customers. I guess we never really sat down and talked to each other like, hey, okay, we have this opportunity to now change wrestling. How do you see it? How do we make this work? Maybe in the end, we had the Bucks and their vision, my vision, and Cody's vision, and all our visions are different. I would say mine was more similar to what the Bucks had envisioned, and Cody's was much different. You're going to get that. You're going to get that when finally you've committed your life to an industry and a business, and finally someone goes, you've done this job all your life. You've been raised in this business with these shackles on you to a degree by someone or something. Now those are off. You have carte blanche. What do you want to do? I understand there might be some heartbreak if you were promised that or told that and it doesn't come to fruition. Though my professional relationship with Cody was great, he's not a guy that I go get a Diet Pepsi with on my off time. I don't know how he personally feels about anything. I can only guess as to why he would leave, and I think that he saw it was with his deal up as an opportunity to investigate something within wrestling or life in general that would bring him more happiness. He continues on a little bit more. He says, I don't want anyone doing what we do in wrestling being unhappy or miserable. That destroys you. It's a huge mental, emotional, and physical commitment that if you're miserable while doing it, it can only lead to bad things. We've seen in wrestling where that can lead to terrible things, whether it be alcohol, pills, drugs. That runs rampant in wrestling. I would hate for that to happen when we set out to do something extremely positive for professional wrestling, or that was a goal anyways. That's sort of where the Bucks and I differed. We never want to go to war with Vince and WWE. We just wanted to give people an option and get us a platform for our brand of storytelling and our style of wrestling. When Cody had his way of going about things, I wasn't sure how to follow up with that, nor was I interested. There was Kenny doing his thing, the Bucks doing their thing, and the Codyverse over there, Cody Island, doing whatever it is that he does, and then there's the stuff that Tony does. Eventually, as a lot of fans now know, essentially, it's Tony's show. Of course, he's always going to listen to our advice and take our suggestions to heart, but AEW is very much Tony's thing and baby. We're there to support it in any way we can. It's very possible this current version of AEW wasn't a good fit for Cody and to Cody.
I mean, it seems to speak a lot more as far as Cody's reason for leaving being more attached to losing whatever creative control he had at one juncture, booking power he had at one juncture, as opposed to, not to say money wasn't involved, but, I guess from Kenny's standpoint, and Kenny says in here, personally, he doesn't know why Cody left. He can only surmise based on what he saw professionally.
It's about the most educated opinion as we're going to get.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because I'm sure Cody will speak on the subject, and, sometimes the source itself isn't the most accurate when you're dealing with sometimes the outside observers who are close to people might have a bit more insight than somebody's willing to let on. So this kind of stuff is actually incredibly valuable, especially with Kenny Omega, a guy who's consistently been transparent and open, and a guy who, whenever you listen to him in an interview, he seems like he has no hidden agenda. There's no reason for him to lie. And yet he seems always like a very respectful person, but he seems very open. I mean, he seems, when he speaks about wanting to create, we don't want to go to war with Vince. We want to create something different for the fans. And then when you see Cody, taking a sledgehammer to a throne, and being the guy, I mean, just sort of, I understand that in being the elite, the Young Bucks like to have fun with that kind of stuff. And take their shots, if you will. But it's always in a very SNL type way. It's always in a very goofy sketch type way. Whereas with Cody, a person who, not surprisingly, for a guy who has talked about, I was just in the hallway once and Stephanie ran into me and said, hey, you should do the same thing Goldust does. And it's like, great. Now I'm that. Now just one random encounter. I would understand why they're that PTSD, if you will, or maybe just that, oh man, I'm going to show these people. Cody,
totally.
Cody
1,000%.
obviously has. I mean, given that his dad is a legend, huge shoes to fill. His brother's a legend, huge shoes to fill. He doesn't want to be the guy who's just relegated, so he came out on the open market, crafted his own path, and then he has the opportunity, hey, I'm going to make something here in AEW, and his vision doesn't align with the guy writing the checks. And that's going to be an issue. So this isn't terribly shocking to see, because he had.
And I guess it depends. It's going to be interesting to see where he ends up next, though. If he wants to risk going back to the same environment he left in the first place, yes, he's elevated his status. But as we've seen times before, you see someone who's gone out there. I mean, we've seen both sides of the coin. We've seen someone like Drew McIntyre, who was in the company, left, came back, and completely changed their fortune. Same with Bob Lash. But there's been other times where people come into WWE and you think, okay, they got a chance to really do something, and they don't.
Well, okay, let's explore that really quickly, because those is there anybody who left and increased their stock greater than Cody? I just don't know. I mean, it's going to be different now because AEW is still so new. But Cody went out. I mean, okay, so you just mentioned Drew. Somebody here mentions Drew. Drew didn't build a wrestling company. He built his body. He became commanding as a presence than he wasn't before. So he absolutely did increase his stock many times over, and it totally paid off.
And Lashley didn't create a company. He went out and proved that he's a legit main eventer in Impact.
I don't know that Lashley's in a much different place than he is than he was in the WWE the first time. I mean, he was the ECW champion.
He was he was ECW champion and a mid card champ on the main roster, but now he's a legit main event.
Sure, yeah.
He's bumped up to the next level on the card.
I think doing the MMA stuff bumped his stock up. Yeah,
definitely. And you have Brock, but he was a main eventer when he left, and he was a main eventer when he came back.
I mean, I think the thing about Cody is that, because we mentioned before the idea of him doing Stardust, we've seen people sit out. If they don't like what they're given, they sit out. Cody, I will guarantee you, Cody will sit out before he puts another Stardust outfit on.
I would hope so.
Yeah. We're going to have stream problems again, but we're going to have to move on.
We have to test, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, dude, I don't know. Cody, he probably understands, man, I have done very well for myself. I have the legacy now of being the founder of the competition for the WWE, the first major North American promotion since WCW. And that is something huge that he can, hang his hat on.
Definitely.
And if he can now go and get a massive offer, and he has that relationship with Vince already built in, he's probably been sweet talked. And Vince knows, hey, I see you as a big deal. Come back. Here's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, I don't know, man. I could only imagine. Like, you and I have been our own bosses now for 7 years, 6 years, 7 years.
Yeah,
going on 7 years. Holy crap!
Yeah.
Hey, yesterday was the anniversary.
Oh wow, was it?
When we took the phone call, it was the 20th. It's either the 20th or the 21st. It was one of those days. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't remember.
Hey, happy anniversary. 7 years ago.
Happy anniversary.
Got laid off.
Yeah.
I could only imagine if I help build something and I'm the king of the castle and then it's being taken away. I wouldn't want any part of that. I mean, I can imagine Cody's ego is probably bigger than mine. I mean, it's on a bigger scale. It's on a much bigger scale of what he did compared to a couple of idiots like you and me. But imagine, like, you build something and then it's like taken away from you, and it's like, do I really want to be a part of that anymore?
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, you could go to WWE and get the payday and hope that they can give you creative that's good and interesting and sustain it. I guess it's a situation. Do you go with the two devils that but which one do you think provides a better opportunity for you?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think there are enough people, and we've talked about this also, like, okay, well, what do we think Cody's going to be doing in WWE? There are enough people who have it just fine there. If you look at the Raw upper mid card scene, I mean, it's loaded with people who they're doing good work with Seth. They're doing good work with Kevin Owens. They're doing good work with Edge. They're doing good work. Even Miz is like, that the last feud he had with Edge and Miz is so start and stop, but they're putting him in a celebrity role. There are people there that are very happy. And
I'm sure, yeah.
And I think that, I don't know, I think that I see a lot more in common with Cody and Seth and Kevin Owens. He probably sees those guys as like, okay, I'm fine with that. I'm cool with that. I'm not an Aleister Black. I'm not an unknown commodity from NXT 1.0, which is by and large where Vince was screwing up, where people come in from Triple H's promotion and not knowing what to do with them. But a guy like Cody, Vince knows what he's getting into with Cody. He knows he's going to be paying him a bunch of money. And so I don't know. I kind of feel like that situation where he's looking at those guys and saying, well, those are my contemporaries. They seem happy enough. Like, I look at Raw and I see that they're in decent spots.
Then he'll end up on SmackDown getting fed to Roman.
That's a possibility, but that's still I see him in much more of like a Seth Rollins role than like a Cesaro role. I don't see Cody being relegated to Cesaro.
Yeah, I hope not.
Or like a Kevin Owens thing. It's like if he's going to go down to Roman, that's a pretty good spot right there, and you land in the upper mid card. I don't know. I think yeah, it's interesting that he shows that, but I can understand AEW seemed, and it'd be difficult to think that it wasn't a very personal thing for Cody, and then to have that sort of taken away. Yeah, I could see why he'd do that. It's like, okay, well, you know what, that's fine. You have that. You have that. I did what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back and make a bunch of money.
Yeah, maybe.
Real reason. Cody left AEW, Larson.
Real reason. There we go. You want to talk weekend wrestling shows? We watched a few of them. Of course, we watched Elimination Chamber. Our recap for that is up right now. We also watched later that evening, a Saturday evening, Impact's No Surrender, as well as AAA Reyes. Let's talk Impact first.
Yes.
We can run through these results and talk about story beats as we go. Opening bout, Jake Something. It's a new number one contender for the X Division title after defeating Chris Bay. Do you want to say it, Steve?
Chris Bay.
Thank you. Ace Austin and Speedball Mike Bailey. This is a fun match.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun.
Then we had Jonah defeating Black Taurus.
Yeah.
Jay White in a really good match defeated Eric Young. Deanna Prazzo defended being the Ring of Honor title.
Yeah, it was like an open challenge for whichever title, and it ended up being a former
want to go for.
Ring of Honor alum in Miranda Alize.
Then we had Matt Cardona defeat Jordan Grace by DQ. She hit him with the chair, and considering it wasn't a no DQ match, you can't do that.
Yeah, you can't do that as a DQ.
Yeah, she broke the rules. Then we had Gorillas of Destiny successfully defend the Impact Tag Team titles against. Good Brothers successfully defend the Impact Tag Team titles against Gorillas of Destiny with the help of Jay White.
Yeah,
he hit Tamatonga with a Blade Runner.
Oof.
And then it'll help the Good Brothers get the win, and then they all threw up 2 sweets at the end.
Yeah, man. So, and that's been playing out on social media. Tamatonga has been, very rude to Jay White, and the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks are piling on that too. Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you mean, with all the talk potentially or speculation about Tony Khan's huge announcement being some sort of super show, maybe they're laying the groundwork story-wise for something. With that show. And if nothing else, we talked about this before the show started, it's probably good of both Impact and New Japan to have this story play out on Impact because they're both in the same cable network. I believe they air back to back.
I think so, yeah.
So if viewers of Impact want to see the story continue, maybe on New Japan, I don't know exactly what the broadcast schedule is like on Access in New Japan, whether it's more recent stuff or archival stuff or what. That's good for Access, and see if it plays out on New Japan Strong and whatnot.
I kind of appreciate that, like, AEW made all the waves about the Forbidden Door stuff, but Impact is really, they're doing a lot of heavy Bullet Club stuff lately, and I appreciate that both those companies, Impact and New Japan. Number one, it's just nice to see that their relationship has been mended after so many years of it being bad, of it being pretty terrible. And the fact that they're doing this collaboration, I'm kind of curious. I mean, I know that New Japan, or we've always heard anyways, I think Dave Meltzer has always said that New Japan has always wanted to work with the Good Brothers. They like having them around. I wonder if this could lead to any other. I know the New Japan Cup brackets were released.
Yes.
I don't think there was any Impact names on there. I just saw Dick Togo has like a bye in the first round.
Yeah, some of the choices for the buys are interesting. I would have thought like, hey, you're a champion, you get a buy, but no.
No, Dick Togo, you get a buy.
Yeah, Dick Togo gets a buy.
You have a popular GIF, you get a buy.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. There you go. Here, let's reveal who has the buys for the New Japan Cup.
Yeah. I think it's like, okay, well, that's one less Dick Togo match you got to deal with House of Torture. So here's a buy. Here's a buy for you.
Maybe. Then Moose. Oh, sorry. Mickey James defeated Tasha Steelz in a fun match to retain the Knockouts Championship.
Yeah, that was cool.
Moose defeated W. Morrissey to hold on to his Impact title. And then the main event, really fun match, Honor No More defeated Team Impact after Ed Edwards. Yeah. Turned his back on Impact.
Son.
And hit everybody on Team Impact seemingly with the kendo stick.
Yeah.
And allowed Honor No More to get the win.
And then he ripped off his Impact logo patch
from his vest. Yeah, I know.
His Volt vest. Put it there, and that was the last thing we saw. So Mr. Impact Wrestling is now aligned with the promotion that doesn't really exist anymore. Though apparently you said that they said something about they got a new logo coming up. Yeah,
they got the Supercard of Honor happening Mania weekend. That's happening. They got a new logo they're going to unveil. They're going to go back to touring apparently afterwards. So it wasn't this reset was a reset. It wasn't shutting of doors.
All right, Ring of Honor's fine then, man. That's great.
Yeah, seemingly. Let's talk Reyes. Oh wow.
Man, oh man, where to begin?
There was some good stuff. I don't want to make it seem like it was a bad show all around. It was a messy show.
This was
a very messy show, and part of it, I don't know if how much the weather played in it, because it was an outdoor show and it was pouring rain by the end.
It was
even that doesn't really explain the La Familia Real versus La Impresa and NGD match.
Yeah,
which was, I don't really understood what happened there from the very beginning.
I honestly wonder if so much of the problems here had to do with the discrepancy between broadcasting on Fight and then broadcasting on Space and not knowing how to time out that stuff, because it seemed like for the half hour leading up to the Space broadcast, so Space is the channel in Mexico, the last half hour or the half hour leading up to that broadcast beginning, it was the most filler of fillers. It was like, I mean, we think it's bad when somebody makes their entrance on Raw and the match starts 10 minutes later because they have like the SmackDown recap and commercials and stuff.
Commercials and
this was like a half hour of that.
It was.
And then that match itself was just an absolute confusing disaster of a match. And it was long. It was honestly, it actually made the Cardona Janela match look like an exercise in efficiency, because this was all over the place and it really just completely killed the show. Luckily, watching it live with all the friendos, with you, the Enforcer, it was good for some lulls, but even that was like, what are we even watching right now?
Yeah. And then they seemingly changed the rules to the Reyes match, which is traditionally, I believe, like an elimination bout. And then when Psycho Clown pins Cybernetico and holds his hands up in victory, like, oh, he seems awfully happy for just eliminating one person. Oh, wait, no, he wins the sword. But,
Yeah, that was a highlight for me because I had picked Psycho Clown.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be Los Vipers 9. Anyways, get to these results. Taya Valkyrie returned to AAA, and she's the new number one contender for the Raiders title after defeating Flommer, Mara Villa, Keira, and Lady Shani. And then Los Vipers won 2 matches back to back, defeating, it wasn't Willie Mack, it was Mysticis Jr.
Yes.
Willie Mack was advertised for this bout. Instead, he was on Impact as part of Team Impact.
Yes.
So Mysticis replaced him. Mr. Iguana and Nino Hamburguesa. Sorry, I can't talk right now. And also, Los Vipers defeated Los Mercenarios and the team of Octagon Jr. and Sexy Star 2. The aforementioned La Familia Real, the team of LA Park, and I believe it's 2 kids.
Yeah. Hijo del LA Park and LA Park Jr., I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Something
Defeated
like
La Impresa and NGD. This match was an absolute mess. I didn't know that disqualifications existed in AAA until this match, where it was an absolute mess the entire time. And at one point, the ref just raised up LA Park's hand and said that they had won.
Yeah.
Still know exactly how that happened. It was supposed to be the Lucha Brothers taking on Dralistico and Dragon Lee. However, Phoenix opened the show saying, still hurt, can't wrestle. So it turned into a 1-on-1 bout between Pentagon Jr. and Dralistico, which Pentagon won after some overbooking at the end. I mentioned Psycho Clown defeating Cybernetico to win Reyes, the unannounced participant. Heavy Metal.
Yeah, he was featured in the WWF 1997 Royal Rumble. But also, I think he's another legend in AAA. But I'm about to cut today later on. I'm going to cut together our reaction to, because so Enforcer had chosen, we all chose somebody different in Reyes. And I basically threw a proverbial dart at the board and came up with Psycho Clown, the guy who won. You went with Cybernetico because the Vipers had a good night.
Yeah, they had run. Yeah, they had the run of the card before. Yeah,
but earlier in the night, the TBD Taya ended up winning. So Enforcer was like, "Hey, I think it's going to be 2 for 2 on TBDs or TBAs to be announced." Yeah. And so he went with to be announced. Heavy Metal comes out, and it's just a wave of underwhelming hits the Enforcer. It was a wildly hilarious moment.
It was pretty damn funny. In the main event, El Hijo del Vikingo successfully retained his Mega Championship against John Superstar, of course, John Morrison, WWE.
Yeah, Rudo too. He was wrestling this heel, man. I thought he was pretty effective too.
Yeah, and this match especially was really a shame. The weather was so lousy. They did what they could, and it was still a really fun match. But you can only imagine if the weather had cooperated and there wasn't like puddles of water in the ring and ringside, what else they could have done.
Yeah, I know. It was pretty gnarly. You'd think that they would have like accounted for that or something. But apparently they were just like, whatever. No F's given in AAA, obviously.
Maybe not. Maybe not. No official Raw preview today as of 1:30 Pacific time. So let's just speculate. Is Cody going to show up tonight?
Fuck if I know. Probably,
the
right?
The Miz is saying he's got some mystery partner for
Man, that is not going to be Cody. That is not going to be Cody. You think the WWE front office is slipping PW Insider the celeb news?
I don't know.
Will Cody show up tonight? Yeah, probably. And we're on the road to WrestleMania. That seems to be where he's going to go. So I don't know. It's funny. Like there's so much stuff out there. People saying, "Oh, it's a work. It's a work." I firmly do not believe that it's a work. I think this is real. And yeah, we're on the road to WrestleMania. You do it. Do it now. They're in win now mode. That WWE.
Yes.
They're in. We want to get this thing sold. We want a good price tag. If Cody shows up, do you think they'd best 2 million in the ratings? They're not on Sci-Fi again, are they?
No, they're on USA Today.
They did pretty good on Sci-Fi last week.
Yeah.
Compared
but
to
no, I don't think they're going to do 2 million.
No, they're not going to do 2 million.
They're not going to do 2 million.
Anyways, let's go ahead and answer some questions. It does look like our stream is back.
Oh,
Welcome
good.
back,
Apologies
everybody.
for the issues.
Yeah. Let's see here. We have a thread up here on the...
We do.
The Twitter machine.
Juan Guerrero Jr. asks, has WWE diminished the Intercontinental Championship so much to where it doesn't even matter at this point if Johnny Knoxville wins it at WrestleMania? I'm not expecting any kind of David Arquette level backlash.
That's a really good point. Yeah, it's been devalued quite a bit. And
it has been. I mean, I'm sure there will be some backlash because it is still the Intercontinental title.
Yeah.
Historically, the workhorse title, you know?
Yeah, people like to complain also. But
that's true, too.
It's definitely not the same thing as if Johnny Knoxville won the WWE title, which is comparable to what happened with Arquette in the WCW title.
Yep.
B-Man, Patrick Sparks, Don Wagner. One wrestler from WWE, AEW, New Japan, Impact, GCW, and AAA form a powerhouse bowling league team.
Wow. Who seems like they can bowl?
Man, I do not know.
I don't know either. Dick Togo.
Yeah, good.
Eric Young.
That's good. Oh, well, those are good names so far.
Jeff Jarrett.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow, good. He's GCW, right?
Yeah, he'll be the GCW representative AAA. Wow.
What do we have? Dick Togo, Jeff Jarrett. Who else?
Eric Young.
Eric Young from Impact. Okay. From AAA, I'm going to go with Heel Ref.
Okay, good.
He looks like a bowler.
Yeah. AEW. Oh, Taz from AEW.
Oh, perfect. That's good.
And then WWE.
You see the preview for the Carmella Corey Graves show? It's like the horniest show, apparently.
I know.
They're just talking about boning the whole time.
Yeah, that's
It'd be funny if they're just talking about farting the whole time.
That would be much funnier.
I don't want to see them being sexy. I get that wherever I want. I want to see them being real.
Being real. It just flatulence all over the place.
Beefing all over the place. Come on, man.
Yeah,
Carmella, I think they're both funny people. I want to see them, be funny.
I know. All right, who from WWE would be on this bowling team?
Oh, man, I don't know. I would have said Braun Strowman.
Xavier Woods.
And that's good. I was going to say Seth. I think Seth in like a Lebowski-esque role would be good.
Interesting. Jason Lewis here asked, inspired by Bel Air on Peacock, what 80s or 90s sitcom would you reboot as a drama?
Greatest American Hero.
Interesting.
But like you keep the aspect that he can't land. It's like a drama and he just can't land.
There's a lot of inherent drama in being a superhero who can fly, who can't land.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, how do you actually help people if you can't land?
You just sort of land on whoever's attacking them, I think.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Just kind of spear them out of the, midair.
Yeah. Small Wonder.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because it's like all about AI and robots and shit. That's actually pretty apropos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say the facts of life.
Oh, that's good. That'd be a bummer.
I know.
Anthony Tobias with Kota Ibushi returning. Will he win the New Japan Cup and face Okada, or will someone new win the tournament? Given that he was the only person that the press conference that was mentioned at the press conference following the Okada's win over Naito, he's probably gonna be Kota Ibushi.
Yeah, it'll probably be Kota Ibushi.
Okada said he's not gonna win, so he's probably gonna win.
Organ grinder, of all the wrestlers and all the promotions in the mid to late 90s, who would you have most wanted to see in the NWO?
Heartbreak Kid. Shawn Michaels.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know he was later, but I mean, like at its peak.
Yeah, prime, yeah. Trying to think of a deep cut here.
Mm-hmm.
Taz.
Oh, that's good. Cybernetico.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Vampiro.
Oh, that's a good one. Let's see here. Greg Morris. Let's use our power to look into the future. If Stadium Stampede happens this year, who's in it? He says Elite versus New Undisputed Era, Andrade Family Office. Well, it's like, what, 5-on-5 or something?
4-on-4? 5-on-5?
I'll go 5. Let's say if it's 5-on-5. I'd say Elite and the Undisputed Era. It's it's the Bucks and
against Best Friends.
Against Best Friends. Yeah, that's good. Let's see here. Enforcer says Larson last lap of the Daytona 500. Who's it doing the mother effing, Roman or Brock?
So the end of that race is pretty wild because there was a wreck. They had the caution out. They restarted the race. Another wreck.
Oh, wow.
And they had to go into overtime.
Oh, geez.
It was pretty wild.
Wow.
Wasn't expecting that level or that amount of wrecks, but I guess that's what people are trying to get in position.
Shane's birthday tweet. Theory and Waller had great star-making performances in cage matches lately. What's your favorite star-making performance in a cage match in wrestling history? For me, it's Foley. It's Hell in a Cell.
Oh, Hell in a Cell.
That was such an iconic moment.
It really was. It really elevated him to the next level.
It did. Yeah.
White Brownie, with today being Raw's 1500th episode, do you expect to see some returns tonight? You wouldn't know that based on how WWE is promoting the show. It's kind of a milestone that they're kind of ignoring.
They did have
kind of ignoring. I mean, totally.
They did put out that YouTube video. I think it was top 10 shocking returns to WWE.
Yeah, makes you think Cody's coming back today.
Yeah, they love the troll.
Nathaniel, the Twinewinder. What's better, waffles or pancakes? I'm a waffles guy.
Yeah, they're nice and what's the word?
They're crispy on the outside and soft on the inside.
Yeah, it's sort of, for me, it's a mood thing. But I think overall, if it was like, I'm on death row, and they're like, "What do you want?" I think it'd be waffles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're flaky. I sort of. Yeah.
Yeah, buttery.
Yeah, buttery. Let's see here. With all along the Watchtower, with Brock and Roman having dominated the upper cards of Raw and SmackDown last year, plus who can WWE try to push as legit contenders once Mania is over?
Lashley and Drew.
Drew for sure. Yeah, Drew for sure.
Kyle, they are booking Reigns versus Lesnar heavily for Mania. Do you think WWE have plans in place for after one of them wins the WWE Universal titles? I would hope so.
The plan for Reigns is beat more people.
Yeah, it's probably beat Drew.
Yeah.
Beat Lashley.
Yeah.
Maybe Cody.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Biggie.
Mm-hmm. Throw Happy Corbin in there. How great would that be?
If we must.
That'd be fun, I think. Because I think Happy Corbin have to turn face. Hart the Duchy asks, name one dream match you have involving an NXT UK and an AEW star. Ilya versus Bryan Danielson.
Gallus versus...
Oh, the Undisputed Era.
Yeah, that'd be good. Wild Dude, if you knew they'd be booked well, what NXT UK wrestler, tag team, or faction would you want to bring to NXT or the main roster? I mean, I'm honestly surprised that Pretty Deadly hasn't come to NXT 2.0 yet.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But no, you just said it. I want Gallus on main roster.
Yeah.
Gallus to SmackDown.
That'd be pretty solid.
Mix it up with Sheamus and that other guy.
Oh, Rich Holland.
Yeah.
NJWP asks, what do you think the future is for NXT UK? I think so long as they're not losing too much money, I would imagine they would just be allowed to do what they do at least until the deal with BT Sport is up. After that, who knows? But
yeah, I honestly don't. Like you said, I think it all comes down to money. If they're making money off this TV contract, then I assume they'll just stay around. They're in a weird spot because it was like, hey, this is the first of many global localization, and they set them up and they did all these deals with other promotions out there and basically wrecked the rest of the indie scene out there in the UK. And then they just didn't do any more of the global localization. They got that deal with BT Sport, and BT Sport seems to really like them. I think they do good numbers out there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hugh Longheavy, if WB approaches you to be an enhancement talent for one match, who would you want to squash you?
Oh, man. Who's like a real map-based guy that could just quickly tap me out? No high-impact moves.
On the main roster?
Yeah, or 2.0, whatever.
I'd say Noam Dar.
Okay, that's good. I'll go with
say Charlie Dempsey. Charlie Dempsey, Steve.
Oh, that's good. Charlie Dempsey. Yeah, that's good. Then I get to see the entrance that they do up close. Anyways, that's going to do it for us. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. To the Twitch stream crowd, it seems like they're back with us. Apologies for all the problems today. Ooh.
Yes.
But it happens from time to time.
It does, unfortunately, but our apologies, yes.
Yeah. Stick around. We'll hang out with you guys for a little bit. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.